At age 7, his mother died. At age 11, his father took him to sea for the first time. He became captain of a ship taking people who had been snatched and sold to work as slaves. At 20 years old, he himself became a slave until he was rescued. Travelling across the Atlantic, his ship was caught in a terrible storm. And while he assumed that he was living his final moments, still he worked hard at the pumps. And he found himself praying for mercy. And this surprised him. He wrote, "Mercy? Mercy? What mercy can there be for me?" This was the first desire I had breathed for mercy for many years. I could not utter the prayer of faith. I could not draw near to a reconciled God and call him Father. My prayer for mercy was like the cry of ravens, which yet the Lord does not disdain to hear. John Newton, who knew what it meant to be rescued, went on to write the words, "Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me." Like many people, John Newton recognized that God's grace is completely undeserved, unearned, and yet it is offered freely to even the worst of sinners. John Newton's encounter with God's grace is often described as two conversions. The first, inward, when he recognized the love of God and accepted that he was saved through Jesus and his death and resurrection. And a second, outward conversion, when he realized that God's grace for him has an effect on the world around him. This former slaver became a fully fledged member of the movement to abolish slavery. And the cost of that for Newton would have been high. Abolition threatened the economic stability of the Western world. It would have turned former friends into bitter enemies. He would have been written off as a fool and an idealist. But God's grace that had worked in his heart and won his freedom from sin and selfishness compelled him to seek the freedom of others. The promise of Christmas is the promise of grace. Grace that works in our hearts. Grace that changes our behavior. Grace that goes beyond our inner life to affect the world around us. Grace that love, forgiveness, acceptance, lavished upon us by the one who made us, the one who set us free.